The neon lights flickered on the wet asphalt, bouncing in puddles like broken promises every night. Jasmine Vega walked the streets of downtown Atlanta, high heels clicking against the cracked concrete. She was just 23, but her eyes carried decades of pain. Every man she met had a price. Every smile she gave was a lie she told herself. "Another night, another dollar," she muttered, her voice rough from smoke and tears. But tonight, something felt different. Tonight, the city's hum seemed louder, sharper, as if it was whispering, "You don't have to do this forever." Her stomach twisted, a familiar ache she had learned to ignore. She wasn't hungry, not for food. She was hungry for something she didn't know how to name: peace, forgiveness, freedom. But those words felt like fairy tales from a world she would never belong to. As she lit another cigarette, a man's voice cut through the night. "You okay, Jasmine?" She looked up. A street preacher, old and kind, holding a small sign. "Jesus loves you." She laughed bitterly, blowing smoke into his face. "Love, buddy, love doesn't pay rent." But something in his eyes didn't move. It didn't flinch. It didn't turn away like everyone else had. Jasmine had always believed life was unfair. Her mother had died when she was 10, leaving her in the hands of a father too lost in his own addictions to care. School was a nightmare of bullies and teachers who looked the other way. By 16, she was on the streets, learning quickly that survival required a sharp smile and a sharper mind. She became known in her neighborhood, the girl who could charm anyone, but never let them close. Men came and went, leaving her broken, hollow and numb. She didn't believe in God, or angels, or miracles. Faith had only brought her disappointment. Every time she had prayed as a child, someone had let her down, so she stopped praying, stopped hoping, and just survived. Yet tonight felt different. There was a hum in the air, a subtle tension, as if the universe itself was waiting for something. Jasmine ignored it at first. She had learned that listening to feelings like that only led to heartbreak. She walked past neon signs, cheap motels, and the cold stares of strangers in the alley ahead. A young girl, no older than 10, shivered against the cold. Jasmine's heart clenched. She remembered herself at that age alone, scared, begging for a life she would never get. She wanted to look away, to keep walking, but something in her throat caught. Something she hadn't felt in years: empathy. The street preacher watched from across the road. He didn't say anything. He just smiled softly, holding his sign as if waiting for her. Jasmine shook her head, tried to laugh the fear away, and kept moving. Later that night, she would meet Marcus, a bartender at a late-night diner. His warm eyes and patient demeanor were different from everyone she had ever known. He didn't judge her, didn't ask for anything but conversation. And for the first time in years, she felt herself imagining a world where maybe, just maybe, she could be more than what the streets had made her. Yet, even as hope flickered in her chest, fear clamped down harder. She had survived by trusting no one. Could she really let someone in? Could she really believe that there was a God watching, a life waiting, a second chance? As she returned to her small, dimly lit apartment above the diner, Jasmine lit a candle. The room smelled faintly of smoke and cheap perfume. She sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the flickering flame. Maybe there's something more," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Little did she know, this night would set off a chain of events that would challenge everything she thought she knew about life, faith, and love. The woman who had built walls around her heart was about to face the one truth she could never escape. Some things are bigger than pain, bigger than regret, and bigger than the streets that raised her. Have you ever felt trapped in a life you thought you couldn't escape? What was the moment that made you start hoping again, even a little? Hey there, my wonderful family and friends. Welcome back. If you're ready to dive into today's story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments where you're tuning in from. I love seeing where everyone's watching. And guess what? There's another amazing story coming your way tomorrow. One you definitely don't want to miss. Alright then, let's get started. Jasmine had seen a lot of people in her life, people who pretended to care, people who only wanted something from her. But then there was Marcus, a bartender at a tiny late-night diner tucked between a gas station and a pawn shop. He was nothing like anyone she'd met before. Warm, patient, and weirdly interested in just talking. Not judging, not touching, just listening. It started with coffee. Jasmine would sit in the corner, nursing a cheap cup. Pretending she wasn't eavesdropping on his conversations with other patrons. He'd smile at her and say, "You look like you could use a friend." She laughed once, twice, but the third time, she didn't. Something about his tone, calm, steady, not fake, made her feel like maybe someone could see her without wanting anything in return. "Why do you care?" she finally asked, not looking at him directly. He shrugged, wiping a coffee mug clean. "I don't know. Maybe everyone deserves a little kindness." That sentence stuck with her, because no one had ever said that to her before. Jasmine Vega, the girl who sold herself to survive, who had been betrayed, used, and abandoned more times than she could count, had never felt that simple idea, that she could deserve kindness just for being alive. A week later, she stayed past closing time. Marcus noticed her quiet watching and asked, "Ever think about God?" Jasmine almost choked on her coffee. God? That word? After everything she'd been through? God? She scoffed, forcing a laugh. "That's for kids and fools. I don't do God." He nodded like he expected her answer. "Fair. I'm not here to force anything. But I like to talk about him sometimes, about hope. About people being more than what their past made them." Jasmine stared at him. She wanted to walk away, but curiosity, and maybe something deeper, the tiniest flicker of hope, kept her there. "So, you're saying people can change? Even someone like me?" Marcus leaned back, casual, almost like he'd been waiting for her to ask. "Yeah, I believe they can. And you know, sometimes God doesn't force himself on you. He just waits until you're ready." The words hit her like a punch and a hug at the same time. She wanted to argue, she wanted to run, but instead, she listened, really listened. Over the next few weeks, Jasmine started coming by the diner more often. She and Marcus would sit and talk. Not about money, not about survival, but about life, about mistakes, about scars and dreams she'd forgotten she had. One night, Marcus brought a small Bible. Jasmine nearly rolled her eyes. "Seriously? You brought a Bible to the diner?" He smiled softly. "You ask questions. I thought maybe you'd want answers straight from the source." She snorted but didn't leave. She listened as he opened it, pointing out passages about forgiveness, about love, about people who had been lost but found a way back. And for the first time in years, Jasmine felt something stirring inside. Something she hadn't felt in a long time, hope. She didn't admit it to him. Not yet. But when she walked home that night, she paused under a flickering streetlight, and for a moment, just a moment, she imagined a life where she wasn't running, where she wasn't alone. One night, while she was leaving the diner, a man from her past cornered her. His presence was menacing, reminding her of all the nights she'd wished someone could save her. He recognized her and laughed cruelly. Still playing the innocent girl? Jasmine's hands shook, but Marcus appeared behind her just in time. Without a word, he stepped in. Standing tall, calm, Jasmine realized, for the first time, she could trust someone to have her back. Someone who would protect her without expecting anything in return. She didn't know it yet, but that moment would be the first step on the path that would lead her straight to Christ. Have you ever met someone who just saw you? Not the walls, not the mistakes, not the past, but you? How did it change the way you saw yourself? Jasmine couldn't sleep that night. She sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the cracked ceiling, replaying Marcus's words over and over. God doesn't force himself on you. He waits until you're ready. She laughed bitterly at first. Ready? Me? She thought about the streets, the men, the lies, the endless nights of pretending. Could she really be ready for anything like that? But then she remembered the little things. The girl in the alley she had tried to ignore. Marcus standing up for her when someone from her past showed up. Even the street preacher weeks ago. Every small act, every word had been nudging her, pulling her gently towards something bigger than survival. The next morning, Jasmine went to the diner earlier than usual. Marcus was cleaning tables. She didn't say anything at first, just sat and watched him then. Finally, "I think I'm ready to. I don't know. Talk about it." About him. Marcus's eyes softened. "Take your time, no rush." But Jasmine couldn't. She had carried so much pain for so long. She needed answers now. "I've done a lot of things I regret," she said quietly. "Things I can't take back. I've hurt people myself, and I don't know if I can ever be forgiven." Marcus sat down across from her. "That's exactly why you need him. Not because you're perfect, but because you're human. He forgives even when we think we don't deserve it." As they talked, the diner door swung open. A man she hadn't seen in years, someone she owed money to, someone dangerous, stepped inside, looking for her. Jasmine froze. Her heart raced, but before he could act, Marcus calmly stepped in between them. "She's under my protection now. You need to leave." The man sneered, spat on the floor, and left. Jasmine's hands trembled. She realized something profound. For the first time in her life, someone had truly her back. And it wasn't for money or lust. It was love. It was care. It was God's hand in the most human form she had ever seen. That night, alone in her apartment, Jasmine sat quietly. She lit a candle, held her hands together, and for the first time in years, she prayed, "God, I don't know if you're real. I don't know if I deserve your love. But if you are there, if you care, I want to know you. I give you my life. Take it. Take me. Help me be someone better, even if I don't deserve it." Her voice shook. Tears ran down her cheeks. She didn't even realize she had been holding her breath. For the first time, something shifted inside her. She felt a warmth she hadn't felt in years, a light breaking through the darkness of her past. Have you ever felt a moment where you knew your life could change forever? How did it feel to take that first step towards something bigger than yourself? Jasmine's world was changing, but change was never easy. The streets she'd called home for years weren't done with her yet. She still got calls, she still felt eyes on her back, and the shadows of her past still lurked in every corner. But now, something inside her had shifted. That small flame of hope Marcus had helped ignite was growing. She didn't just survive anymore. She wanted more. She wanted freedom. She wanted forgiveness. She wanted peace. One evening, Jasmine was walking home from the diner when she noticed smoke curling up from an alley. People were screaming, lights flashing. A building nearby had caught fire. Panic surged through her, but she saw a young girl trapped on the second floor, screaming for help. Without thinking, Jasmine ran in. She didn't know how she knew what to do. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was God pushing her. She found the girl, covered her in a blanket, and led her down a smoke-filled hallway, ignoring the flames licking the walls. Every step was agony. Her lungs burned. Her heart raced. She stumbled, almost fell, but kept going. Just as she reached the exit, part of the building collapsed behind her. Jasmine made it outside with the girl, coughing, barely able to breathe. The fire department rushed in, sirens wailing. The crowd that had gathered started clapping and cheering. One man stepped forward. His face was familiar. Marcus. He ran toward her, eyes wide, worry etched into every line. He had watched the fire from a distance, unsure if she would make it out alive. "Jasmine, you saved her. You're a hero," he gasped. But Jasmine didn't feel heroic. She felt small. She felt human. And in that moment, with smoke swirling around them, tears streaming down her face, she finally whispered the words she had been holding back for weeks. "Lord, I give you my life. Take me. Forgive me. I trust you." The crowd clapped, but she barely noticed. She only noticed the peace settling over her heart, the first real peace she had felt in years. That night, Jasmine collapsed at home. The smoke had left her lungs weak, and exhaustion consumed her. She lay in bed, clutching the small Bible Marcus had given her, reading the passages she had marked. Her voice was barely a whisper, but her words were firm, resolute. "Jesus, I surrender everything. My past, my pain, my sins. I am yours." As she spoke, A calm washed over her. The tears she had shed for years, the anger, the regret, the fear, melted away. She was free. Finally free. She wasn't afraid of death anymore, because in that moment, she had found life that went beyond this world. Have you ever felt a moment so powerful that it changed your entire life in one breath? What would it take for you to finally surrender everything to something bigger than yourself? The fire was out, the streets had quieted, the sirens had faded, and the city seemed almost peaceful for the first time in years. But Jasmine Vega wasn't the same woman who had walked those streets. She had faced death, confronted her past, and surrendered herself fully to Christ. She lay in her small apartment, wrapped in a blanket, the faint smell of smoke still clinging to her hair and clothes. Marcus sat across from her, holding her hand, his eyes red from worry and exhaustion. "You're alive," he said softly. "I know," Jasmine whispered, smiling weakly. "But I've never felt more alive." Her voice trembled, but there was a peace in it. She had found something that the streets, the men, and the pain could never take away. Hope, forgiveness, and faith. Jasmine thought about the choices she had made, the people she had hurt, and the life she had lived. Every tear, every lonely night, every moment of despair, it all led her here, to this moment of clarity and surrender. "Lord," she whispered, clutching the small Bible Marcus had given her, "I know my life was messy. I know I've made mistakes, but I'm yours. Every part of me." Marcus held back tears, seeing the transformation in her eyes. He had known her as Jasmine the survivor, Jasmine the fighter, but now he saw Jasmine the redeemed, Jasmine the believer, even in her frailty. She radiated a quiet strength. Her body was weak from the smoke and exhaustion, but her soul shone brighter than the city lights outside her window. As the night wore on, Jasmine spoke softly, almost as if speaking to every person who had ever been lost. "Jesus, I give you my life, my past, my pain, my regrets. Take it all. I am yours forever." She paused, her hand trembling, but her eyes were steady, even in death. "I trust you. I am free. I am yours. Amen." Her breathing slowed. Marcus held her hand tighter, his tears falling silently. She looked at him one last time and smiled, a smile full of peace, release, and love. And then, she was gone. Marcus stayed with her, cradling her in his arms as the first rays of dawn streamed through the window. He knew that Jasmine's story would live on, not just as a cautionary tale, but as a beacon of hope for those who had lost faith, who had been broken by life, and who had felt like they had nowhere to turn. The news spread quickly through the community. People were moved, some crying, some inspired. A woman who had been lost in darkness had chosen Christ in her final moments, leaving behind a legacy of courage, redemption, and love. Her story reminded everyone who heard it. It's never too late to find hope. It's never too late to believe. And sometimes, even in the darkest night, a single act of faith can light the world. If you had one chance to surrender everything to something bigger than yourself, would you take it? What would that moment look like for you? The morning sun rose over the city, painting the streets in golden light. For most, it was just another day, but for those who had known Jasmine Vega, even briefly, the world had changed. Her story, her courage, her final act of faith, had left a mark that could not be erased. Marcus stood outside the small apartment where Jasmine had lived, staring at the door that would now always hold her memory. He had spent the night thinking about the woman she had been, the survivor, the fighter, the lost soul who had finally found peace. She changed everything, he whispered to himself. News of Jasmine's death spread quickly. Social media buzzed with messages from strangers who had heard her story. If a broken life like hers can find God, then maybe there's hope for me too. She reminded me that it's never too late to turn your life around. Her courage, her faith, it's unforgettable. People in her neighborhood began to see her life differently, not as a tale of shame or tragedy, but as a story of redemption. The girl who had walked the streets, who had been lost and broken, had become a symbol of hope and courage. Even the little things mattered. A mural appeared near the corner where she used to walk. Painted by a local artist, a woman with arms lifted to the sky, a small cross glowing in her hands, and a single phrase beneath, "Even in darkness, there is light." Marcus visited the diner that morning. Sitting at the corner table where he and Jasmine had shared so many late-night conversations, he traced his fingers over the coffee stains and scratch marks on the table. The silent witnesses of her journey. "You weren't just a survivor, Jasmine," he murmured. "You were a miracle. You gave your life to something bigger than yourself. And it changed all of us." He looked out the window at the streets she had once walked alone, imagining her smiling at him, full of peace, even though Jasmine was gone. Her story didn't end with her death. Letters arrived from strangers inspired to change their lives. People volunteered in shelters, helped women on the streets, and prayed for those in need. All because one woman had dared to surrender her life, even in her final moments. A pastor who had once judged her spoke at a local church. Jasmine Vega reminds us that faith isn't about perfection. It's about surrender. It's about hope. And it's about love. Even when we think we're undeserving, her name became a quiet anthem in the city, whispered in prayer groups, shared in online forums, and remembered in hearts who had once felt lost. And for the people watching this story today, imagine this: Jasmine lying peacefully in her small room, candlelight flickering, a Bible open on her chest. She is calm, she is free, and though her body is gone, her spirit soars, a testament to courage, redemption, and the power of faith. "I am yours, Lord," she whispered one last time, a smile on her lips, the light of heaven reflected in her soul. And with that, she became more than just a girl who walked the streets. She became a symbol that even in the darkest, most broken lives, there is hope. If you could leave behind one story, one legacy of hope for others, what would it be? How would you want people to remember the life you lived?
Thank you for watching all the way through. If this story moved you, the next one will surprise you in ways you won't expect. Go ahead and click the video on your screen. Your next story awaits.